Today, we're diving into what I like to call the dark art of being unpredictable. We're going to unpack why being a mystery is one of your greatest sources of personal power, and how you can actually break free from the chains of expectation, all with a little help from the legendary psychologist Carl Jung.
So let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like the people in your life, maybe it's your boss, a manipulative friend, or even your own family, they know exactly which buttons to push to get a reaction out of you? They know just what to say to make you angry or defensive or to make you apologize. It's a really frustrating feeling, right?
It's almost like you're a social puppet, and they're the ones holding the strings. They pull, and you react right on cue every single time. Well, this explainer is all about learning how to cut those strings for good.
You see, Carl Jung saw this kind of predictability not just as a bad habit, but as a kind of psychological prison. He understood that as long as your reactions are completely automatic, you aren't really the one in control. Your unconscious patterns are running the show, and the world is just using them to keep you in check.
So what makes being so predictable so damaging? To really get it, we need to look at what I call the trap of availability.
I mean, think about it. Most of us were raised to be polite, to be responsive, to be an open book. Society basically tells us that being constantly available for other people is a virtue. But there's a massive hidden cost to this.
Jung would probably argue that this excessive availability is actually a form of self-abandonment. When you're always on for everybody else, you're almost always off for yourself. You end up neglecting your own internal world, your own needs.
And the result? When you're predictable, you become a tool. It's harsh, but it's true. People start treating you like an emotional emergency button. They push it when they need a little validation or a distraction, and then they just put you right back on the shelf until next time.
This constant need to react just drains what Jung called your psychic energy. Think of it as your finite mental and emotional fuel. Being so predictable leaves you feeling exhausted and hollow, while other people are out there building their own narratives, their own lives, right on the back of your reliable responses.
So how in the world do we break this cycle? Well, the very first step is an internal one. It's what Jung called making the unconscious conscious. This famous quote from Jung is everything. It's the key. If you don't understand your own internal programming, it's just going to run your life for you, and you'll chalk it up to fate or that's just the way things are. So the first real step to freedom is self-observation. You have to start asking yourself some pretty tough questions. What are your triggers? I mean, what situations or what kinds of comments immediately throw you off balance? Why do you feel that intense, gut-wrenching compulsion to justify yourself to someone who questions you?
You know, that need to explain and defend yourself, it's a signal. It's like a giant flashing beacon that shows the world exactly where you're weak, where those poorly healed psychological wounds are. And that, right there, makes you incredibly easy to manipulate. So look at the difference here. The old way, the predictable reaction, is to explain, to defend, to give that automatic yes. But the new way, the sovereign alternative, is to observe, to really listen, and to deploy what the source material calls a brutally lucid silence. A silence that is so clear, so intentional, it's in that space that your real power is found.
Okay, so once you've started doing that deep internal work, how do you actually apply this stuff in the real world? This brings us to what I call the second initiation, mastering the art of the strategic retreat.
Now, conscious unavailability isn't about ignoring people or just running away from conflict. No, it's a deliberate, powerful choice to withdraw your expected reaction because you are aware of the dynamic that's at play. You see the hook, and you consciously choose not to bite.
So, how does this work in practice? It's pretty straightforward. First, you have to recognize when someone is trying to provoke you, trying to get a reaction. Second, you consciously choose not to give it to them. Third, you listen intently like a hunter, hearing the fear or the need that's hidden behind their words. And fourth, you offer nothing back. No explanation, no defense, nothing.
What happens next is just a complete flip of the power dynamic. See, the person trying to provoke you was banking on your reaction to keep their little game going. Your silence, it creates what can be described as an internal collapse for them. It's like you're holding an invisible blade that just cuts right through their social mask and forces them to confront themselves.
Now, I have to be really clear with you. This path is not easy. Reclaiming your personal power, your sovereignty, it comes with a price. And that price is often being misunderstood.
When you stop being so predictable, the people who benefited from it are, well, they're not going to like it. They might call you cold or selfish or arrogant, but the reason is really simple. You are no longer serving the function they assign to you. You're no longer their tool.
But this discomfort, it's actually a sign of growth. Jung called this whole journey individuation. It's the process of becoming your true, whole self. And it absolutely requires separating yourself from herd morality and starting to trust your own internal authority.
What you're building here isn't some hard, defensive shell around yourself. No, you're building an unshakable inner core. It's a strength that comes from knowing who you are so deeply that nobody, and I mean nobody, has the power to dismantle you with a careless word or a manipulative tactic.
So that brings us to the end of our explainer, and now to your personal challenge. It's time to take all of this from theory and put it into practice. Here it is. The next time you feel that pull, that expectation for you to react in a certain way, whether it's to get angry or apologize or jump to your own defense, I want you to try giving them the one thing they absolutely do not expect. Nothing. Just your calm, sovereign presence. Let's end with this thought. Power isn't about being the loudest person in the room. Real strength is found in silence, and true wisdom is knowing when to use it. Choose to be the mystery, not the open book.